Welcome to the Performance Portfolio Podcast with Coop and Coop. Greg Cooper and Cooper Allen bridge the gap between performance and finance to help you build a stronger life and a more resilient future. Let's get into today's episode.
Coop, we took a week. It's been a busy few weeks for both of us, but I would say not just busy, it's been productive. But we've been sitting on a couple great topics. And this one in particular, I think, is going to be an interesting take on high performance. And it might make people think a little differently about the term. And that term is boredom. And specifically, what we're talking about today is why high performers need boredom. So, first thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'd imagine this is probably not the angle you were thinking of when you thought of the topic, but where my mind goes right away is, hey, we're right in the thick of summer, and as a parent, I hear a lot of other parents scrambling to find things for their kids to do now that they're not in school. And I would imagine it's probably similar in the summer camps that you're running in the judo world as well. So a lot of what I'd like to probably talk about today, uh, we can talk about the difference between entrepreneurs working on their business versus in their business, and how having a reset can maybe help them refocus and recenter on what they're doing so that they can continue to work at the level they need to work at without burning out. But I also, at some point, probably later in the conversation, would love to transition into speaking about why what it looks like to be a high performing parent, not just necessarily a high performing entrepreneur or business owner, and how do you be okay with letting your kids be bored at times as well. So I think we can kind of take a two-pronged approach on today's episode, and I think it's very timely given that we're at the time of year where people always want to be go 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 and have an intense fear of missing out as well through the summertime if they're missing a patio or a sunny day or a golf round. And yeah, just talking about slowing down and being bored in a time of year where it's probably the most uncommon to give that advice.
I like that where you took it, and we did talk about a little bit about my summer camps off camera, and I've noticed that as well. Where actually, I'm going to back up first. I think on the parent side of things, as a non-parent, I had my dad was a teacher. My mom worked for Finn and Caterpillar, so she didn't get summers off. But my dad got every summer off with us. So I think for parents that aren't teachers or work from home, hybrid, whatever, where they are around, especially in the summer with younger kids, grade school, it's it's like a pendulum. It's like, is it more tiring for that parent that's used to it, or is it more tiring for the parent that isn't? And I've seen a dynamic where, the parents are super grateful that their kids have something to occupy their time. And I don't think it's because they don't know or don't have solutions, but where it clicked to me is I was chatting with one of my summer camp students' parent when he was getting changed at the end of the day. I said, you know what the greatest thing about the last 2 weeks for me has been? For 8 hours that these kids have been with me, not one of them looked at a screen. There was no iPad. There was no, and they very well could have brought something with them for downtime, but not one of them had a screen. There was no TV. We never watched YouTube video, nothing. And that in today's world is like the space of boredom. It's like, what do you do when you're bored? You go to your screen because it's that stimulus. So I think it's been really cool for me to see that where, in today's age, that's less common. When we were kids, not everybody had access to, well, we definitely didn't have iPhones and like the tablets and stuff we have today, but we still had video games and stuff like that, but it was still less accessible. It wasn't, I have three screens in front of me right now. Like that's crazy. That didn't happen. That didn't exist at the extent that it does today. So I really cool take on that and just finding that the kids find creativity when they're in that boredom state, which is cool.
Let's stay on that for a minute. It might hijack the topic of the episode, but I had a thought that occurred to me as you said that, because I was at an event not too long ago and was chatting with the guy who organized the event. Similar concept, full day, great meals, great camaraderie, great team building. And we're sitting around the fire near the end of the night, and the guy had said, he said, "You know what my favorite part of today was?" "What's that?" He goes, "There wasn't a drop of alcohol." And so the thought that I had as we're talking about boredom, I'd be curious to hear your perspective on this is, do you think that kids' screen time, in terms of fun and distraction from life, would you equate like kids' screen time with adult alcohol?
100%. Like so equivalent. Yeah, no question about it. Because for most, right? I mean, there's lots of people that never drink or whatever, but a lot of people, it's like, hey man, what are you doing? Nothing. Oh, let's grab a beer. Or you just finished a project and oh, let's grab a beer. It's the thing to do to create that fire, the sitting around the fire with the boys or the girls when there's nothing to do. And it's like, let's crack a beer, let's have a whiskey. I think for sure. And coming from an English German family, there's always, hey, let's have a drink before dinner, which again, I never vilify alcohol. And, I know people have different relationships with it, but I would agree. And then as adults, because we have free will, we do both at the same time. All right, let's have that beer with a buddy. Now everybody's on their phone at the same time. Hey, look at this. Oh, look at this. Look at this reel. Look at this. And it just spirals into this overstimulation, not just our visual and intellectual with our screens, but now we're messing with our brain chemistry because we're throwing some booze on top of it. So I think that's a great connection, Coop.
It just, I don't know why it hit for me, and no different than how you don't vilify alcohol. Similarly, we're not vilifying screen time. However, I don't know about you, I am saying it would be good if an event where you would normally have your phone out at, or an event that you would normally have some drinks at, what if you did it one time where golf's a great example? The next time you go play golf in August or September, keep your phone in your bag for the entire 18 holes and don't drink. Play 18 holes uninterrupted and have a water or a Gatorade and see how you feel at the end of those 18 holes, not immediately following the round, but the next day. And make a commitment that maybe you check your phone because you got to text your partner or something, let them know, hey, I'm on my way home. But just maybe commit to that day where it's, hey, for the full day, it's going to be a no screen day for me and my family. And I'm not going to have any booze, and it's just going to be a sober, screenless day. And I used golf as an example, but I think you do it once, you'll feel a little bit better. It won't be incredible, but or maybe it will be. I don't know. You might not see a crazy difference, but it could start a habit of maybe once or twice a month you're doing a no screen day as a family, or and you just start trying stuff out. You get into environments where people would encourage you to typically have a drink. It just, if you can say no one time, then all of a sudden, if you're actually, and not even for a health kick or for anything, like just for the sake of, hey, can I do it? Like I think sometimes whether it's alcohol or screen time or any other vice, there's got to be periods where you challenge yourself to do something for an hour or a day or a weekend, so that in your mind, hey, if I had to go without this, I could.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep on the screen thing here because I see this lot in my nephews. They love to build things and play. They got these magnet blocks and all these really cool games that aren't technology. And where I would say like we trick ourselves into over like making screen time a positive thing. Oh, but it's an educational thing. Oh, but it's a puzzle thing. But the problem is everything on a screen has a predefined solution. There is it's forcing you to a absolute solution. Where if you make up a game, whether you're a kid, you're an adult, whoever, whatever age you're at, if you're just building magnet blocks or Lego and you're not using the instruction manual, it's not a set, there's no solution to what's in front of you. It's pure creativity. And that is where, like, that's where my brain thought process was on this topic of high performers need boredom. Maybe we could take out the high performer thing for now and just say why people need boredom. Because in boredom, if you don't have something that is predetermined outcome, no matter what, right? All of these games on our phones, no matter how educational, how brain challenging they are, if it's a puzzle, the algorithm is set to a perfect solution every time. So create something, do something completely no map and find the solution to it. It could be any number of things, but then there, when you are, oh, I'm bored, we just finished a super fun thing or a super great lunch with people, and like, oh, that was such a great stimulus, like, and you're chasing that dopamine high, it's like create something in that space of boredom, and then that boredom goes away.
Absolutely. I'm gonna totally uh, nitpick wording here, but I think it's important for the listener. Because I think sometimes when we talk about high performance, we think of the athlete or the entrepreneur or someone making it big. And I think if you said elite performance, then we can talk about, okay, elite athlete, elite entrepreneur, things like that. When we're talking about high performance, I think it can be nuanced. It doesn't have to be, oh, Tom Brady's a high performer. It could be as simple as you're an everyday person and you want to get better. Man, I look at to me it's one of those things as you're saying that, Greg, when you said drop kind of like the moniker and just say people. Well, if everyday people are striving to put together habits to make themselves better, isn't that what high performance is? You're trying to perform higher than where you're at currently. So yeah, maybe you're not performing at a Tom Brady level, but if you're I think high performance is in the eye of the beholder, where it's like, what does high performance look like for you as a dad, as a wife, as a admin assistant, as a teacher, as a whatever. So I think sometimes when we talk about high performance, I do still think it's applicable to the everyday person, so long as they're trying to grow themselves in their life.
Absolutely agree. And I'm always happy when you rein that in and make that distinction because it is important. Um, I just did a bunch of content with InStep physical therapy, a clinic I'm doing a bunch of strength and conditioning and performance coaching at now. And a lot of it was around like, okay, what's a performance coach? Who's a performance coach for? Well, it can be for that high level athlete. It can be for that youth athlete, for the rec athlete, the weekend warrior, the person just wanting to go from where they are today and increase that state. So it is very nuanced. And we talked about that a few podcasts ago. And we talk about it often. So I'm happy you took it there because that is an important distinction. And we talked about the parents in at the start and on the summer camps. I think it's so important where, I had this interaction. We were walking from the park back to the dojo on the summer camp, and this kid goes, we were just talking. He goes, he's like, "What do your parents do for work?" And I said, "Well, my parents are retired, but this is what they do." And I said, "What about you, buddy?" And he goes, "Well, my dad's a scientist, and my mom just stays at home." I went, "Well, that's a really important job." He goes, "She doesn't really do anything." I'm like, I think, and he's 7, right? So his frame of like mom is mom. But I'm like, well, bud, that's true. But she makes sure that you're fed, that you have all your stuff. She drives you places. She takes care of you. She keeps the house in check. She does so much more than you see because you're too young to see the full picture yet. But a parent is one of the hardest jobs in the world. For the first, I don't know, 18 years, but for sure for the first year, your number one job is to keep your baby alive. They don't have survival instincts or skills yet for more than a year, right? But and you can speak more to this as a dad of two beautiful twins, but I look at that when people make those comments, I'm like, hey, parents, that's a hard job. And the parents that are high performers like see the value in, you know, creating activities for their kids, giving them the space to make up their own games, solve their own problems, not overnourished, not undernourished, right? It's always finding that balance and it's an ever evolving job. Most jobs at a certain point, you hit a flow state with it. If you've spent any time in it and you can just like tick, 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 it's pretty predictable depending on your industry. Being a parent, I would say, is never predictable. As a coach of hundreds of young kids, I can tell you my job is not predictable. Every day, it could be the energy alone changes how I have to do things. Like, are the kids low? Are they sad? Are they crazy off the charts? Like, where are they at today? Right? So it's an ever changing and evolving job that requires a lot.
And the truth of the matter is, if someone who's listening to this is thinking, I'm just a regular person, and why do I need high performance? It seems weird, seems tacky, not for me, or I'm not an athlete or a high level business person. I just want to live my life and that's it. You could get away with that line of thinking 2 generations ago. You can't get away with that line of thinking anymore. Maybe you can, but it's a lot less likely. I shouldn't speak in absolutes. It's a lot less likely to be able to get away with that line of thinking. And here's why. Inflation is out of control. So you need to build some high performance habits around your money. Budgeting, investing, saving, feeling good about where your lifestyle spend is going, keeping track of it, not just letting 500 to $1,000 a month go to budget line. I don't know. It's just gone. On the performance side, you're going to be raising kids who are more aware of what's going on in the world around them at a much younger age due to technology, for better and for worse. They're probably going to have some more behavioral issues based on the stuff that's being put in our food today that wasn't being put in our food a generation or two ago. So there's a nutrition element, there's a technological element, there's a financial element, and I'm sure a few others that I'm missing on here. But all of these things lead to the everyday person, if they want to experience even an equivalent life to previous generations, if not a better life, are less likely to be able to just get by and have life happen to them, and they just figure it out and they work their job and sign their kids up for sports and live the day to day. If you duplicate what your parents did, for most people, that will not get them an equivalent result. It will get them a result that is worse off. So in order to get the same result that our parents got, we need to implement some more high performance habits, even at just a baseline introductory level around baseline budgeting, baseline health, baseline things like what we're talking about today of figuring out ways to, in a world full of distractions, how do we just be bored? How do we get rid of the distractions temporarily? So I think the high performance conversation is important for everybody, not just for the select few who are trying to achieve great things in their sport or in their business.
I'm going to touch on the financial piece because I think this is one that almost every one of our listeners will understand and agree in outside of the accounting nerds that do exist, that do love doing this stuff. But if anybody has a business or even your personal, right? Doesn't need to be a business. I'm not going to take that out of the question. Oh, I got to do my budgeting. Got to do my taxes. That stuff sucks. And then because it's boring and we've like pre-framed and set ourselves up for failure in that task before we even started, we put it off, we put it off, we put it off, we put it off, we put it off. We don't look at our bank accounts, we don't look at this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's the 11th hour and we're rushing and we make mistakes and things don't get submitted. And now we have bigger problems. And with that in mind around boredom, and we want to talk about adding high performing habits to everyday life, challenge yourself to start becoming comfortable doing simple tasks for some duration of time. You don't have to sit down for 2 hours straight and do it all in one chunk. If that works for you, great. That's really productive. Now you took that 2 hours out of your Saturday or Sunday, and now you don't have to worry about that thing anymore. More realistic, especially if that's something that is energy sucking for you. You hate that stuff. You don't have the means to pay somebody to do it, or you don't know who to trust with it, or whatever the reason is. Set a timer. I've talked about this lots. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, some interval. Set the timer, have it in front of you running or on your watch or whatever, and just, okay, go. You can turn music on, a podcast, whatever, or just dead silent and just rip it out. That timer goes off, take 5, 10 minutes, do something more stimulating, whether it's jump outside, go for a walk, play with the kids for a quick game, do something that you like to do, and then go back to that thing and start intervaling that time of boredom where, we can put a lot of things in the boredom bucket. Like, oh, I hate to do, don't like to do it, don't work on it. But they're still necessary. So that is a simple, high performing habit everybody can add into their life. It could be, and I'll take it away from finance to make it more bite sized. Cleaning. Got to dust the windowsills. I've been looking at that dust for months now. Take 10 minutes. I guarantee if you gamify it and take 10 minutes, you can clean almost every window in your house unless you have a very large house. You get through a couple rooms, right? Simple tasks that are boring. Check them off. And now it changes how you view these things, these mundane things in your life.
There's also an element too in terms of being bored where, yeah, you just if you want a couple of no screen day and a boredom day, it can kind of be the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna get a bunch of laundry done today. I'm gonna clean the house today. I'm going to print off all of my credit card statements from the last 3 months and my bank account statements from the last 3 months. And I'm gonna get an old analog calculator and do my budget that way and reconcile it on a piece of paper. And then I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna go for a walk. And then I'm gonna drive to the grocery store and I'm gonna get the groceries in person and do some meal prep. And then I'm just ripping stuff off the top of my head, but you could easily have a no screen day, ripping out all the tasks that you think are boring. The people that are like, I don't have time to meal prep. Why not? Schedule it in. That kind of leads me to my next question. One of the things I jotted down early in the episode, Greg, was when it comes to being bored, do you think that it should be random or do you think that it should be calculated and scheduled for people? Like, should they pre-schedule in a no phone day or pre-schedule in a boredom day or a period of boredom time? Or do you think it's better to just kind of in the moment be like, hey, I'm bored right now, so I just checked my phone. But then as I'm like reaching my hand to maybe go do that, just like kind of hit my hand and go, nope, just be with the feeling of bored right now. Don't go scroll your phone. Just sit with the feeling. Or do you maybe think it's a hybrid of both, where like some of that needs to happen in the moment and some of it needs to be pre-scheduled?
It's definitely a hybrid of both. And I'll present three pathways for this. And actually, it's something I think about and talk about often with a few of my clients and a few of my really close friends, where to frame it simple, let's take a type A person, the organized person that's always clean, that has, things folded like all right. Type A, we know what we're talking about. Little OCD. Type B, things are everywhere. It doesn't matter, but they know where everything is. So that's okay, right? One isn't better than the other. But I would say for the type A person, scheduling that time in will be more productive if you're just applying this strategy and this action into your life, where you like structure, you like schedule, but you hate doing these tasks. Okay, then schedule it in. Make a cadence out of it. Maybe it's daily, you do like a 10-minute boredom block, or every week, or whatever that cadence is that's needed depending on the priority and the urgency of the task. For the type B person, do it in the moment. Oh, everything's a mess. And I don't know, because a lot of type B people hit that where it's like, I've been putting this stuff off for so long, now it's out of control. Okay, take a breath, set a timer, and do that one thing. And then for both people, for anybody, and those strategies can definitely be interchangeable, because it's not only locked to a type A personality, type B personality. It really depends on a number of things. But the other method that I would say has a lot of success, you don't need a coach, but you just need somebody to be like, hey, I've been putting this off for weeks. Tomorrow morning, can you text me? And if I don't reply to it, text me again for me to do that thing. And then to take it a step further, send them a picture when you're done. Could be your best friend, whatever, your coworker, somebody you trust to hold you accountable, and then make that line of accountability. Life's not a solo game. You don't have to implement new things, especially difficult things. It's hard to be okay being bored and doing those simple tasks. So add accountability into it. Ask your best friend, hey, I've been totally dropping the ball on this. I need some help. Gotcha. I got you. But make sure you ask a person that's not the same mindset and like view as you. Ask somebody who's like a little more structured, right? Like ask
For
that person
sure.
you know won't also drop the ball with you.
Yeah, totally. On that note, too, when it comes to the types of boredom, because there's been times where I'll sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to watch a Jays game, or I'm going to uh, maybe scroll on my phone for a little bit. And I'm curious to hear your take on if there are types of boredom that are maybe more productive than others or more conducive to actually getting the most out of boredom. 'Cause I have a feeling there's a big difference between I'm bored right now, so I'm gonna pick up my phone and scroll Instagram versus I'm bored, so I'm gonna go for a walk around the neighborhood. Or hey, I'm bored here, so I'm gonna throw on Netflix or throw on a Jays game versus I'm bored, so I'm gonna grab a pen and paper and walk down to the waterfront and sit on a bench and just journal out some thoughts or things like that. So do you have any tips, advice, thoughts on just once somebody is okay with being bored, what are maybe the productive things that they could be thinking about or doing to fill their boredom time? Or is that kind of the whole point of being bored is just to be okay with the nothingness?
I think that's a complex question, and I'm making this up as I go. Um, but I'm gonna create two different types of boredom. We'll call it the random boredom, and that's where I'm bored. All right, I'll throw on a Netflix. I'm bored. I'll doom scroll. I'm bored. I'll play a video game. I'll, do something that is stimulating but not productive, which is important as well. Versus boredom caused by task fatigue, and this is the boredom you see in kids a lot, right? I know. I'll frame it on the judo mats. We start doing a drill that's important to teach them a certain technique, but it's not a game and it's boring. Their attention span is very small. So it's you see them and then they start and it gets lazy and they're bored and they start complaining and they find out and all of a sudden you have a magical injury on your knee when we were moving very slow and controlled. All right, now it's time to switch and flip that task into a different game or a new stimulating thing, something random, right? So in the two forms of boredom, I will say when it's random boredom, it can be harder to choose to do the productive thing opposed to the overstimulating fun thing, right? And then that becomes the piece of the puzzle where it's like how can you gamify your life to go, okay, first I'm going to do the fun thing and then once the timer goes off on that, do you have the discipline? And what's your relationship with discipline? Do you have the discipline to do the stimulating thing first? And then when your timer goes off, or when you're done the mission or you're done the whatever end outcome is, can you stop that thing and move on to something more productive? Or do you need to front load it? Okay, I'm bored. Netflix. No, first I'm going to go do the dishes. This kitchen's a disaster. Now you've done the boring, simple thing that is important. Now you can go do the overstimulating fun things. So that's one way to frame it. On the fatigue task, again, that's where if it's you alone, that's where not working so long, then all of a sudden your work time turns into I'm going to look at one thing on Google. Oh, now I'm on YouTube. Oh, now I'm on my phone. Now I'm just watching YouTube videos and oh, I worked for 5 hours. No, you worked for an hour and a half and then you tailed off because you let yourself get bored by fatigue, by task fatigue. So managing those is two very different things in my opinion. And how you handle boredom really comes down to What is your relationship with discipline? Are you a very disciplined person by nature, or does it take a lot of work for you to become disciplined doing any particular task? Because some people, it's hard for them to be disciplined on the things they love because like they love that, but oh, look at that thing. That's super cool. Or their friend calls them and they get distracted, and now all of a sudden they went from being super focused. Now they're on a patio on White Ave having a beer. How did I even end up here? Right? Like,
Do you
so
think
it's
so?
a complex thing.
As you so that last example, society's quick to jump and call that exact example, well, it's ADHD and that needs to be heavily medicated. Because it's if you can't get passionate and disciplined and focused on the things that you love, it must mean there's something wrong with you. Well, is that something that 100% of the time needs to be rectified with medication, or is that just a personality trait that and I'd imagine in some cases it probably is more clinical, but are there a lot of cases where you think maybe people are lumping themselves into a clinical category where it could just be corrected with some coaching or some better performance habits and structure?
I'm not a medical professional. I help people get better. I coach judo and I show people how to lift weights really good. In all of those experiences, I can tell you for free, the world is over medicated, especially in that realm of ADHD, ADD. It's the first solution a doctor gives. I've had kids come to me with a large variety of neurodivergence and cognitive uh, variances, ADHD, autistic, uh, pandas, all sorts of different things. And I can tell you, when they have something structured and focused to work on, it changes. Not overnight, not the first time they're on the mats, but once they get a cadence of something, because they need something to hyper focus on for some period of time. But then by design of our class is an hour. After that hour, there's a hard stop gap of now, oh, okay, I'm taking my gi off. So if you think that medication is, I shouldn't laugh when I say that, but if you think as an adult that, oh, yeah, medication is going to help me, there's a number of cases, absolutely, you might need it. But have you tried like creating a structure and a cadence and routine and an environment that creates productive spaces of boredom and very focused, structured time of hyper focus on the things that you love, your passions, your purpose, your work, and like create stop gaps where it's like, okay, this room is only for this task if it's your office. I don't play games in here. I don't have a TV in here. I'm here to work. And then when it's noon or whatever you need to do to trigger that, leave that space. And now there's a hard physical stopgap. And creating those environments for individuals, especially that, maybe do have ADHD or ADD or some form of hyperfixation, OCD, all of these cognitive occurrences that we can have you tried just changing your environment before you start medicating yourself with legal crack? Probably not. A lot of people have. And if you've done those things, okay, now, yeah, okay, maybe you do. Maybe you are severe and you do need that. And I'm not saying that medicating these people is the wrong solution. I've seen people extremely high functional that are medicated because they needed it. And I've seen people that actually went worse when they were because they were probably over medicated. So yeah, I'll end it there because I don't want to get myself in trouble on that. But I think a lot of the times, regardless, even if it's not, even if you just are kind of in a phase in your life where you want to make a change, you don't know what that change is, you have no path, you have no vision yet, just start mapping that out and creating a more positive, more productive environment where, yeah, it's okay to be bored in this state. Yes, I can hyper focus here. Yes, I can have fun here. Great. Now you're creating a cadence and now you're creating a positive routine. So, uh,
On that note too, to kind of put a bow on that, and then I got one final question before we close on the topic. But there's a lot of times I find that people want to they want to label, but they don't like I think you need to ask yourself better questions. So when it comes to something like two things, one is I'll rewind it. First is you got to give yourself permission that like some of this stuff is okay. And sometimes the downside of the performance world and even just like the grading within our school system, I find there's a lot of people that they overanalyze every single thing. It's, well, why am I not better at that? If I'm not perfect at this, it must just mean that I suck and I'm a failure and I need medication or I need to buy a program or I need to do this. And human beings are not designed to be optimized in every single section of their lives. There are going to be things that you're good at, and there are going to be things that you're not as good at. The things that you're a 2 out of 10 good at, can you bring them to a 3 or a 4 or a 5? For sure. But chances are you're not going to be 10 out of 10 great at everything. Tom Brady was not a 10 out of 10 field goal kicker. So in the same way in your life, it's just at some points you do have to give yourself permission to say, hey, I don't need to get medicated for this thing over here. I don't need coaching for this thing over here. It's like, it's okay that this is the way that it is. Now, on the flip side of that is you do have to ask yourself better questions as well, kind of contradictory, but I hope people can nuance the difference of what I'm about to say is if you can focus enough to go to work for 8 hours, but then the thing that you struggle to focus on is being present with your kids or building that side business that you've been trying to build or getting in shape, you don't have ADHD. You have your priorities backwards. You don't have a vision for your life. You don't have goals. You have your system of how you reward yourself and how you think about the world is backwards because you're willing to show up and be consistent and focus and get the job done for somebody who you view in a higher position of power because of rank or authority. But then you view yourself and your goals and your dreams and your kids and your spouse and everything in an inferior rank, which is why you focus more on getting those tasks done within your job than you do in other areas. So I think it's just if you're trying, great example, because I mean I coach people who get into the financial world part-time. If you're trying to get a business going part-time in finance, but every time you sit down and do the work, you get distracted and end up doing something else. Well, if you get distracted by everything in your life, you get distracted by your job, you get distracted when you're with your partner and you get bored. Now you've dated 85 million new people because you're always getting bored after a week with one. Then yeah, maybe that could require some coaching or some therapy or some medication. But I mean, if you're loyal to one partner, you're loyal to one job, you're loyal in all of these areas, but you just can't focus on this one area, whether it's your side business or your finances or your health or whatever. Don't think that that's the reason you have to diagnose yourself with a lack of something. It's not a lack of something because clearly you already have the skill set because you're already doing it over here. You just haven't done this enough yet where you've learned how to transition this skill set over to here. So you either need more tangible coaching to learn how to transition the skill set from here over to here, or you need some bigger goals, bigger reasons why, and kind of a priority shift on who you're willing to fight for and be focused for and put your skills to use for. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in. I'm sure there was a way to say that in way less words and make it way less complicated. But any thoughts on that before I kind of have a question to end the episode?
I think we're both really good at saying too many words to say a simple sentence. It made me think of one thing, and I hope this doesn't derail your question, but you often say, if you have a lot of money, you probably don't have time. If you have a lot of time and no money, right? Use that time. So, and I said that maybe wrong, but I frame that, and why I bring that up is if you're always bored, it's probably because you lack vision, you lack a path, you lack something productively stimulating for yourself that you can focus on and kind of put your flag in the dirt and say, yeah, this is the thing that I'm owning and this is the thing I'm going after. And if on the flip side, you're always stimulated productively, quote unquote, that you like, who has time to be bored? I don't have time for any of that crap. Like I'm blah, 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 and you're always filling yourself with stimulus, 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 stimulus. If it's work, it's easy to justify or frame it where it's justifying. But that's where you're going to hit burnout on that frame. And I'll take it to this because it's been something that's been on me. Last week, ten climbers lost their lives at Broad Peak in an avalanche. Nims Purja being one of them, one of the most elite mountaineers of this world has ever seen. 58 8,000-meter peaks, most of them without oxygen, and the mountain took back one of the greats. So why I bring him up and why I bring that up is when those individuals are climbing those mountains and they're going into altitude that is the death zone where their body's literally dying on themselves, boredom is a necessity because they have to be fully focused on what they're doing on that mountain to survive, to get up and get back down alive. So when they have those times at camp 1, 2, 3, 4, or wherever they're stopping, they want to be bored. They want to focus on nothing except breathing, relaxing, and being recovered. And that's an extreme example, but for the person that is grinding every single day and I don't have time for anything or anybody or anything else, take a breath because the mountain's going to take you. Give yourself time to be bored, right? And if you're the person that is only ever bored, give yourself time to focus on climbing that next mountain.
It's funny you'd said, I hope this doesn't take away from your question, but in true Cooper fashion, it leads right into it. Because that was my final question was, what would you say to the people who say that they don't have time to be bored?
For full, if you're not watching this, Coop and I are literally in different rooms in different sides of the country right now, so I couldn't have known he was going to say that. We just hang out too often. Awesome. But yeah, like it's just that, right? I've been there and I still get there at times where it's like, no, I have to grind everything. I have to put every morsel of my time into this. And that's where I see my productivity drop professionally, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all facets of my life. Relationship based, that's when everything gets worse, where it's like, hey, let's just be here. And like, whether you're alone, whether you're with your partner, whoever you're with, just take a second, put everything down. There is nothing that urgent, outside of very extreme cases that you need to continue to be on. You could take 20 minutes. You could take 30 minutes. You could take a day. It'll still be there tomorrow when you wake up. So for the overstimulated and over quote unquote productive, which at a certain point you're going to start dropping off that curve and you're going to start plateauing. So give yourself space to be to be bored.
For sure. And I think, and this is an entirely separate episode for sure, but I think of one of the biggest arguments that couples have is not being appreciated enough for work that they're doing. Uh, and we all seek it because humans naturally they want to be seen, they want to be heard. But then there's a lot of times where what someone's looking to be appreciated for is work that they were never asked to do. So people are so busy, they're so busy that they have no time to be bored, but they're busy doing things that nobody asked them to do. Their boss didn't ask them to do it. And they did it and they wanted the gold star, but they did an activity that they could have hired somebody to do for $10 an hour. And yeah, if I was the boss and I said, Greg, you just spent 10 hours doing something when I pay you $50 an hour that I could have hired somebody at $10 an hour online to do self-employed piecework and get this done. So yeah, you're so busy, but I actually like it cost me more money than it made me for that project to get done. So I'm actually kind of annoyed and you're looking for appreciation. Or, hey, you did these 7 tasks around the house. We have a house cleaner coming in tomorrow, and you just spent the day cleaning the house, and instead of being with the kids. And now the the kids are all wound up, and they're looking for attention because nobody talked to them all day because you were cleaning the house and the cleaner's coming tomorrow. So I think there's a conversation in the performance world that needs to be had on just how do you audit your life to dial in on what's most important, and seeing that giving yourself the gift of being bored to bring out some creativity and to give you the opportunity to touch some grass and be one with the world, and maybe calm down a bit, regulate your nervous system, and see things from a different perspective, and just get out of day-to-day hustle culture and grind, and fill your cup back up so that when you're in the hustle culture that you're not burning out and you're actually just making it happen and getting it done. And what there's that old saying of you can't pour from an empty cup, but what's not talked about a ton is when you are pouring, what is it that you're pouring? Because if you're pouring a crap product, that's great that you've got lots to pour, but if it tastes like crap, then I don't want it. So yes, fill your cup, but also make sure you're filling your cup with the right stuff. So uh, I think people have got to do an audit, and end of summer is a great time to do it. Going into the rest of the year is how do I dial in on what's most important? How do I, and making sure that part of what's important is finding time to get off screens, finding time to just sit with your thoughts, finding time to work on your business instead of in your business, or on your life instead of in your life. And what does that even mean? Working in your life is doing everything that needs to get done in your day. You go to work, you do the chores, take care of kids, all that. Working on your life is what's the example I want to set? What are my core values? What do I believe in? Do I really want to be doing what I'm doing for the rest of my life, or do I have a vision to be doing something different or something greater? Uh, what do I want people saying about me at my funeral? How do I make sure that I'm maxing out the time that I have here, and making sure I'm enjoying it? Is my emotional capacity where it needs to be right now? Am I experiencing a lot of positive emotions and enjoying my life and being grateful? Or am I lacking a lot of gratitude right now and not really appreciating what's going on around me? And so those are some examples of working on your life and instead of in it. And you only give yourself the gift of working on your life, or working on your business, or working on your health if you structure in some time to be bored and get off your phone, and just let your brain do what it's designed to do.
I'll just add one thing to that, and I'll tail it back to the start of this podcast. If you want to create a framework or a great example for yourself on how to start framing boredom, if you're a single guy, don't go to the park and watch kids, but watch the kids around you, your nephews, your nieces. If you're a coach, watch kids when they're not in the game, right? Don't be creepy about it, right? But kids are experts at creating space and creativity and a game out of boredom. Uncle Greg, I'm bored. Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. And then let them sit in that silence for a second, give them 2 minutes, and they've created a game. They're now a taco truck owner, and they're going to bring you a taco made out of pylons, right? Look at kids. They're experts at boredom. Cool.
I couldn't agree more. Appreciate the topic. Hope it left some value with you guys, and we will see you guys next week.
Have fun being bored.
Thanks for tuning in this week. If you found value in today's episode, like, subscribe, and share it with someone in your circle so they too can build a stronger life and a more resilient future.